The millionaire froze when he saw his missing daughter's ring on the nanny's hand. The Hargrove mansion loomed over Charleston like a crystal giant, its windows gleaming in the late afternoon sun. Built in the heyday of Southern prosperity, it stood as a testament to old money and older secrets, its manicured lawns stretching toward the Ashley River like a verdant carpet. Inside, Nathaniel Hargrove stood by the grand fireplace in his study, his eyes fixed on the portrait that had haunted him for 20 years. The oil painting captured a moment frozen in time, a 7-year-old girl with chestnut hair and eyes that sparkled with mischief, clutching a silver ring with a turquoise stone. Evelyn, his firstborn, his missing daughter. "Daddy, look." Nathaniel turned toward the French doors leading to the garden, where his son Caleb was brandishing a toy airplane. At 6, Caleb was all energy and innocence, blissfully unaware of the shadow that had hung over the Hargrove family since before he was born. "That's wonderful, son," Nathaniel said, forcing a smile. He checked his watch. The applicant for the nanny position would arrive any minute after Mrs. Peterson's sudden retirement. Caleb needed someone new, someone who could keep up with a spirited 6-year-old while Nathaniel managed the family shipping empire. The doorbell chimed through the house, its melodic tones echoing off marble floors and high ceilings. "I'll get it, sir," Henderson, the butler, announced as he passed the study. Nathaniel nodded, his attention drifting back to the portrait. Sometimes he wondered if he should take it down, tuck away the painful reminder, but that would mean admitting Evelyn was truly gone, something he'd never been able to do. "Mr. Hargrove, the applicant for the nanny position has arrived." Nathaniel straightened his tie and turned. "Show her in, Henderson." The young woman who entered his study looked nothing like the polished Charleston socialites who usually crossed his threshold. She wore simple clothes, a modest blue dress that had seen better days, sensible shoes. Her dark hair was pulled back in a practical ponytail, revealing a face that might have been pretty if not for the sadness that seemed to cling to her like perfume. "Clara Whitfield," she introduced herself, extending her hand. "I'm here about the nanny position." Nathaniel took her hand automatically, his mind registering the firmness of her handshake. Professional, confident, despite her humble appearance. Then his gaze dropped to her hand, and the world stopped spinning. There, on her right hand, was a silver ring with a turquoise stone, identical to the one in the portrait, identical to the one Evelyn had been wearing the day she vanished at the Charleston market. "Mr. Hargrove?" Clara's voice sounded far away. "Are you all right?" Nathaniel staggered back, reaching blindly for his desk to steady himself. "That ring," he managed, his voice breaking. "Where did you get that ring?" Clara's hand moved instinctively to touch the piece of jewelry, her brow furrowing. I've had it since I was a child. It's the only thing I have from before. Before?" Nathaniel's heart hammered against his ribs. "Before the orphanage." She shrugged, clearly uncomfortable with the personal turn of the conversation. "I grew up at St. Catherine's in Savannah. This ring is the only thing I had with me when I arrived there." Nathaniel's mouth went dry. "How old are you, Miss Whitfield?" 27. The math clicked into place with terrifying precision. Evelyn would be 27 now. "And your earliest memories?" He knew he was being inappropriate, knew he should be asking about her qualifications, her experience with children, but he couldn't stop. Clara shifted her weight, glancing toward the door as if considering an escape. "Mr. Hargrove, I'm here about the nanny position. I have excellent references from my previous—" "Please," Nathaniel interrupted. "Indulge me," she sighed. "I don't remember anything before I was 7. There was an accident, they told me. I woke up in a hospital with no memory of my life before that day. Just my name, Clara Whitfield. And this ring." The room seemed to tilt beneath Nathaniel's feet. Could it be possible, after all these years? A blur of motion at the doorway caught his attention. His sister, Beatrice, stood there, elegant as always in her tailored suit, her silver-streaked hair swept into a perfect chignon. As the financial director of Hargrove Shipping, she rarely left her office before nightfall. "Nathaniel, Henderson said you were interviewing nannies." Her sharp eyes assessed Clara, lingering momentarily on the ring before flicking back to her brother's face. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "Just feeling a bit under the weather," Nathaniel lied, collecting himself. "Miss Whitfield, this is my sister Beatrice. She manages our family's business interests." Clara nodded politely. Pleased to meet you, Mrs. Hargrove. Beatrice's smile didn't reach her eyes. Likewise. She turned to Nathaniel. Don't forget the board meeting tomorrow morning. The Japanese investors will be there. I won't forget. With a final assessing glance at Clara, Beatrice departed, her heels clicking authoritatively on the marble floor. Mr. Hargrove, if you're not feeling well, perhaps we should reschedule, Clara suggested. No, Nathaniel said quickly. No, please stay. I'd like you to meet Caleb. As if summoned, the boy burst through the French doors, the toy airplane making a kamikaze dive toward Clara. Caleb? Nathaniel admonished gently. This is Miss Whitfield. She might be your new nanny. The boy skidded to a stop, looking up at Clara with unabashed curiosity. Do you like airplanes? Can you make cookies? Mrs. Peterson made the best cookies, but she got too old and her hands hurt. Clara's face softened, the sadness in her eyes momentarily eclipsed by genuine warmth. I do like airplanes, and I can definitely make cookies. What kind do you like best? Chocolate chip with extra chips? That happens to be my specialty. Nathaniel watched the easy rapport developing between them. His mind racing, he needed to keep Clara close. Needed time to investigate this impossible coincidence. Miss Whitfield, the position is yours if you want it. You can move into the staff quarters immediately. Clara blinked in surprise. Don't you want to check my references? Or ask about my experience? I trust my instincts. And right now, every instinct he possessed was screaming that this woman was connected to his daughter's disappearance. Whether she was an imposter who had somehow obtained Evelyn's ring, or something far more miraculous. He intended to find out. Well, then I accept. Thank you, Mr. Hargrove. She smiled, but wariness lingered in her honey-colored eyes. Later that night, after Clara had been shown to her room and Caleb tucked into bed, Nathaniel returned to his study. He poured himself 2 fingers of bourbon and stood before Evelyn's portrait, studying the turquoise ring on the painted child's finger. From the doorway, Beatrice watched her brother, her face a mask of concern. But as she turned away, her expression hardened into something entirely different. Fear. Clara woke with a start, her heart racing. The dream had felt so real. A crowded marketplace, colorful stalls, the smell of sweetgrass baskets, and a woman's voice calling a name that wasn't hers. She sat up in bed, disoriented by the unfamiliar room. Moonlight spilled through lace curtains, illuminating the elegant guest quarters she'd been given in the Hargrove mansion, 3 days into her new position, and she still couldn't shake the feeling that something was off about this job. Mr. Hargrove watched her constantly, his gaze following her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. She'd caught him staring at her ring several times, though he never mentioned it again after that first day. Clara slipped out of bed and padded to the window. The Hargrove estate sprawled beneath a canopy of ancient oaks draped with Spanish moss, so different from the cramped quarters at St. Catherine's where she'd grown up, or the tiny apartment she'd rented after aging out of the system. She touched the turquoise ring absently. It had always been her talisman, her only connection to whoever she had been before the accident. The orphanage director had told her she'd been found on the side of a road, unconscious and clutching the ring. No identification except for the name she'd given when she woke up. Clara Whitfield. No one had ever come looking for her. A soft knock at her door startled her from her thoughts. Miss Whitfield. It was Martha, the housekeeper, her voice hushed. Sorry to disturb you so early, but Master Caleb is asking for you. Another nightmare, poor lamb. I'll be right there, Clara replied, reaching for her robe. She found Caleb sitting up in his dinosaur-themed bed, his hair tousled and eyes wide with lingering fear. Hey, buddy, she said softly, sitting on the edge of his bed. Those monsters bothering you again? Caleb nodded, clutching his stuffed T-Rex. They were chasing me through the market. The market. The big one downtown where Daddy said Evie got lost. Clara felt a chill. The market from her own dream. Coincidence, surely. Your daddy told you about Evelyn? Caleb nodded solemnly. She's my big sister, but she went away before I was born. Daddy has her picture by his bed. She looked nice. I'm sure she was, Clara said, smoothing his hair. How about I stay until you fall asleep? Can you tell me a story? Clara smiled. Once upon a time, there was a brave knight who wasn't afraid of anything. Not dragons, not witches, and especially not bad dreams. By the time she finished her improvised tale, Caleb was sound asleep. Clara tucked the blankets around him and quietly left the room, only to nearly collide with Nathaniel in the hallway. "Mr. Hargrove, I'm sorry I didn't see you." "No apology necessary." He was still dressed, though it was past midnight. As if sleep were a luxury he rarely afforded himself. "Caleb had another nightmare." "Yes, but he's sleeping now." "You're good with him." Nathaniel's gaze was searching, almost desperate. "He's taken to you more quickly than I expected." "Children are usually good judges of character," Clara said with a small smile. "Yes, they are." Nathaniel's eyes dropped to her hand. "That ring?" He stopped himself. "Forgive me, it's late and I'm keeping you up." "It's all right," Clara said, curiosity overcoming her usual caution. "You seem very interested in my ring. May I ask why?" Nathaniel hesitated. "It reminds me of something, that's all." His eyes held hers for a moment too long. "Good night, Miss Whitfield." "Good night, Mr. Hargrove." As she returned to her room, Clara couldn't shake the feeling that Nathaniel Hargrove was hiding something connected to her ring, and possibly to her past. The next morning, Clara took Caleb to the garden after breakfast. The boy was teaching her the names of the different plants his mother had planted before her death from cancer 3 years ago. "And these are Mama's roses," Caleb said, pointing proudly to a bed of cream-colored blooms. "Daddy says they're special 'cause they bloom twice a year." Clara knelt beside him, inhaling the sweet fragrance. "They're beautiful." From the second-floor window of her office, Beatrice Hargrove observed the scene with narrowed eyes. The nanny was becoming too comfortable, too quickly, and Nathaniel's obsession with the girl was alarming. The intercom on her desk buzzed. "Ms. Hargrove, there's a call for your brother from Charleston Memorial Hospital. Something about lab results." Beatrice's hand froze above the button. Lab results. What was Nathaniel having tested? "I'll take it," she decided. "My brother is unavailable." The hospital clerk was easily misled. "Yes, these are the DNA comparison results Mr. Hargrove requested. They're ready for pickup." DNA comparison. Beatrice kept her voice neutral. "Remind me again what samples these were." "I'm not at liberty to discuss specific details, but the results are sealed and waiting. Should I have them sent over?" "No," Beatrice said quickly. "I'll send someone to collect them." After hanging up, she moved to the window again, watching as Clara laughed at something Caleb said. The ring on the young woman's finger caught the sunlight, sending prisms dancing across the garden. Beatrice's blood ran cold. DNA comparison, the ring. Nathaniel's strange behavior, he suspected. After 20 years of carefully maintained fiction, her brother was pulling at threads that could unravel everything she'd built. Beatrice reached for her phone and dialed a number she hadn't used in years. "It's me," she said when the line connected. "We may have a problem." Later that afternoon, Clara was helping Caleb with a puzzle in the sunroom when Henderson appeared at the door. "Miss Whitfield, Mr. Hargrove would like to see you in his study." Clara found Nathaniel standing by the fireplace, just as he had been the day they met, his gaze fixed on the portrait above the mantel. "You wanted to see me, sir." "Clara," he said, using her first name for the first time. "Please come in. I want to show you something." He gestured to a photo album on his desk. "These are pictures of my family." Clara approached cautiously and looked down at the open page. A younger Nathaniel stood beside a beautiful woman with dark hair, both smiling at a little girl between them. The child wore a blue dress and clutched a stuffed rabbit. On her small finger gleamed a familiar silver ring with a turquoise stone. Clara's stomach dropped. "Who is she?" "My daughter, Evelyn." Nathaniel's voice was tight with emotion. "She disappeared 20 years ago at the Charleston market. She was 7 years old." Clara stared at the photograph, a strange buzzing starting in her ears. The little girl's eyes. They were the same unusual amber color as her own. "Why are you showing me this?" she whispered, though part of her already knew the answer. "Because I believe..." Nathaniel's voice broke. "I believe you might be her." The room seemed to spin around Clara. "That's impossible." "Is it? You have her ring? You're the right age? You have no memories before age 7? You were found near Charleston. This is crazy." Clara backed away. "I'm Clara Whitfield." "I've always been Clara Whitfield." "Have you?" Nathaniel asked gently. "Or is that just the name you've been told?" Before Clara could respond, The study door opened and Beatrice entered, her expression tightly controlled. "Nathaniel, I need to speak with you about tomorrow's meeting." Her gaze flickered between her brother and Clara. "In private? We're in the middle of something important, Beatrice. I'm sure Miss Whitfield won't mind giving us a moment." Beatrice's smile was brittle. After all, she's here to care for Caleb, not to look at old family photos. The dismissal was clear. Clara nodded stiffly. "Of course, I'll check on Caleb." As she left, she heard Beatrice's voice drop to a harsh whisper. "Have you lost your mind? What are you doing?" Outside in the hallway, Clara leaned against the wall, her head spinning. The turquoise ring felt suddenly heavy on her finger, a weight pulling her toward a past she couldn't remember and wasn't sure she wanted to know. In her pocket, her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Be careful what you ask about. Some doors are better left closed." Clara stared at her phone, reading the anonymous text message again. "Be careful what you ask about. Some doors are better left closed." Her hands trembled slightly as she slipped the device back into her pocket. She needed air, making her way through the labyrinthine hallways of the mansion. Clara stepped onto a side veranda, gulping in the humid Charleston air. The grand house suddenly felt like a beautiful trap, its elegant rooms hiding secrets that somehow involved her. "It can't be true," she whispered to herself, twisting the turquoise ring on her finger. "I'm Clara Whitfield." But for the first time in her life, she wasn't entirely sure. The little girl in that photograph had been wearing her ring, or rather, she was wearing the little girl's ring. And those eyes, Miss Clara. Caleb's voice broke through her thoughts as he bounded onto the veranda. "I finished the puzzle, come see." Clara forced a smile. "That's wonderful, Caleb. I'll be right there." As she followed the boy inside, she passed Henderson carrying a stack of mail. "A package came for Mr. Hargrove," he informed her, "from Charleston Memorial Hospital." Clara's steps faltered. Hospital, the same one Beatrice had been arguing with Nathaniel about in his study. She watched as Henderson disappeared down the hallway toward Nathaniel's office, the manila envelope tucked under his arm. Throughout the afternoon, Clara went through the motions of caring for Caleb, but her mind was elsewhere. When the boy finally went down for his nap, she found herself drawn to the east wing of the house, the part that remained largely unused. Martha had mentioned it offhandedly during Clara's orientation. "The east wing has been closed up since Miss Evelyn disappeared. Mr. Hargrove couldn't bear to change anything. Now?" Clara stood before a door at the end of a quiet corridor. The brass doorknob was tarnished from lack of use. She hesitated, knowing she was crossing a line. Then she remembered the text message and Nathaniel's strange behavior. If there was any chance of understanding what was happening, she needed answers. She turned the knob, surprised to find it unlocked. The door creaked open, revealing a bedroom frozen in time. Dust motes danced in the shaft of light from the doorway, illuminating a child's room decorated in shades of lavender and cream, a canopy bed with a faded purple comforter, shelves lined with books and stuffed animals, a dollhouse modeled after the Hargrove mansion itself. Clara stepped inside, a strange sense of familiarity washing over her. Had she been here before, or was her mind playing tricks, influenced by Nathaniel's suggestion? On the dresser sat several framed photographs. Clara picked one up, wiping away the dust. Evelyn Hargrove smiled back at her, gap-toothed and carefree. Sitting on a swing, the little girl wore a silver chain around her neck with a pendant. Clara couldn't quite make out. "It was a locket," came a voice from the doorway. Clara spun around, nearly dropping the frame. Martha stood there, her weathered face unreadable. "I'm sorry," Clara stammered. "I shouldn't be in here." "Perhaps you should," Martha replied cryptically. She entered the room and gently took the photograph. This was taken a week before she disappeared. The locket was a gift from her mother. Inside was a family picture and a strand of her mother's hair. The housekeeper's eyes flicked to the ring on Clara's finger. She was wearing that ring the day she vanished. "Did you work here then?" Clara asked, her throat dry. "For 30 years I've served the Hargrove family." Martha set the photo down. "I was with Mrs. Hargrove when she died, and I was here the day little Evelyn didn't come home." "What happened?" Martha's eyes clouded. "Mr. Hargrove took her to the Charleston market. He turned his back for 1 minute to pay a vendor, and she was gone. Just vanished into thin air." She shook her head. "This house has never been the same, mister." Hargrove spent a fortune searching for her. Private investigators, rewards. Nothing ever came of it. Clara twisted the ring nervously. And Mrs. Hargrove died of cancer 3 years ago. Never stopped grieving for her daughter, though, even after having Caleb. Martha studied Clara's face intently. You have her eyes. You know, Mrs. Hargrove's eyes. The same unusual color. Before Clara could respond, a sharp voice cut through the room. Martha, what are you doing in here? Beatrice Hargrove stood in the doorway, her face flushed with anger. And you, Miss Whitfield, this wing is private. You have no business here. Martha straightened, unfazed by her employer's sister. I was just showing Miss Clara around. Ms. Hargrove. No harm intended. Get back to your duties. Beatrice's tone was icy. She turned to Clara. And you should be with Caleb, not snooping through family matters. Caleb is napping, Clara replied, struggling to keep her voice level. And I wasn't snooping. I was curious about the house. Your curiosity is not appreciated, Beatrice snapped. This is still our home, and you are merely staff. Remember your place? Clara felt a flicker of defiance. Of course, Ms. Hargrove. I apologize for the intrusion. As she left the room, Clara heard Beatrice call Martha back. I want to know every time she goes somewhere she shouldn't, Beatrice was saying. Every conversation she has with my brother. Everything. Later that evening, after putting Caleb to bed, Clara found herself drawn to Nathaniel's study. The door was ajar, a sliver of light spilling into the darkened hallway. She was about to knock when she heard Nathaniel's voice, strained and emotional. I don't care about your concerns, Richard. I need to know for certain. Clara froze, listening. The DNA results are preliminary, but the match is strong. 99.7% probability of a parent-child relationship. A pause. No, I haven't confronted her with it yet. She's already spooked. I need to approach this carefully. Clara's heart thundered in her chest. DNA results. A match. Nathaniel truly believed she was his daughter. She must have made a sound, because suddenly the conversation stopped. I have to go, Nathaniel said quickly. Keep this confidential. Clara backed away from the door, but not quickly enough. Nathaniel stepped into the hallway, his expression shifting from surprise to resignation when he saw her. You heard. It wasn't a question. Clara nodded, unable to form words. Nathaniel sighed heavily. Come in. I think it's time we talked properly. Inside the study, he gestured for her to sit, then poured 2 glasses of bourbon, handing her one. Clara took it, but didn't drink. I had your DNA tested, he admitted. A comparison with mine. I took a glass you used at dinner. That's an invasion of privacy, Clara said, finding her voice. And probably illegal. Yes, he didn't try to deny it. But I had to know, and now I do. He leaned forward, his eyes intense. The results confirm what I suspected from the moment I saw that ring. You are my daughter, Evelyn. Clara set down the untouched bourbon with a shaky hand. That's impossible. Is it? You have no memories before age 7. You were found near Charleston. You have her ring, her eyes. His voice broke. You are the right age, the right build, even your mannerisms. The way you tilt your head when you're thinking. It's exactly like her mother. Stop, Clara whispered. Standing up. I'm not your daughter. I can't be. Why is it so hard to believe? Nathaniel asked gently. Because believing would mean her entire life was a lie. Because it would mean someone had stolen her from her family, erased her memories, abandoned her on the side of a road. Because it would mean 20 years of loneliness could have been avoided. I need time, she said finally. This is too much. Nathaniel nodded, visibly restraining himself from pushing further. Of course, take all the time you need. But Clara, he hesitated. Be careful. Not everyone in this house will be happy about this development. As Clara turned to leave, a chill ran down her spine. The warning text message, Beatrice's hostility, the whispered conversation with Martha. Someone in the Hargrove mansion didn't want her to discover the truth, and they might be willing to do anything to keep it buried. Clara awoke to a sense of wrongness. Sunlight streamed through her window, but something was off. She sat up, scanning the room, and realized what was missing. The small leather-bound journal she kept on her nightstand was gone. She slid out of bed, checking under the furniture. rifling through drawers. Nothing. The journal contained her private thoughts, including recent entries about the Hargrove family and her confusion about Nathaniel's claims. Someone had taken it. A soft knock interrupted her search. Martha stood at the door with a breakfast tray. "Good morning, Miss Clara. I thought you might like to eat in your room today. You seemed upset last night." "Thank you, Martha," Clara replied, studying the housekeeper's face for any sign of duplicity. "Have you seen a small brown journal?" "It was by my bed last night." Martha's expression remained neutral. "No, miss. Shall I ask the other staff?" "Please." Clara accepted the tray, catching a glimpse of her phone beside the toast. Another text from the unknown number. "First warning ignored. There won't be a third." Martha noticed her pallor. "Are you all right, miss?" Clara forced a smile. "Fine. Just tired, Martha. Who has access to the staff wing?" "Well, Henderson has master keys." "Of course. And Mrs. Beatrice insists on having access to all parts of the house." Martha lowered her voice. "She conducted a full inventory when Mr. Hargrove was away last month, said she needed to update the insurance policy. That explained how someone could have entered her room." Clara thanked Martha and quickly dressed after the housekeeper left. She needed to find Nathaniel before Beatrice did. Clara found Caleb in the garden with his tutor, Dr. Lewis, working on science lessons. The boy waved enthusiastically. "Miss Clara, we're learning about butterflies." "That's wonderful, Caleb." She smiled at the tutor. "Would you mind watching him a bit longer? I need to speak with Mr. Hargrove." "Of course," Dr. Lewis nodded. "We're having a grand time." Clara hurried to Nathaniel's study, only to find it empty. Henderson informed her that Mr. Hargrove had left for a meeting downtown and wouldn't return until afternoon. Disappointed, she headed back to check on Caleb. As she passed the kitchen, she overheard whispered voices. "Don't like it. That girl is trouble." It was Mrs. Baxter, the cook. "Ms. Beatrice says she's a con artist," replied another voice, one of the maids. "Using that ring to trick Mr. Hargrove into thinking she's Miss Evelyn come back from the dead. Poor man. Still grieving after all these years. He'll believe anything. Well, I won't be leaving my valuables unattended, miss. Beatrice says girls from orphanages have sticky fingers." Clara's face burned, so Beatrice was poisoning the staff against her. She continued down the hallway, keeping her head high despite the hurt churning in her stomach. When she reached the garden, Caleb was alone, squatting by a flower bed. "Where's Dr. Lewis?" Clara asked, alarmed. "He went to get water," Caleb replied, then held up a handful of cookies. "Want one? I saved them from lunch." Clara took one absently, her mind racing. These looked delicious. Did Mrs. Baxter make them? "No. Aunt Beatrice brought them special for me. She said they're just for us, not the grown-ups." Clara froze mid-bite. "Aunt Beatrice made these." "Uh-huh. She said they're her secret recipe." Clara gently took the cookies from him. "You know what? Let's save these for later. It's almost snack time, and we don't want to spoil your appetite." Caleb pouted, but didn't argue. They spent the afternoon playing games until the boy complained of feeling sleepy. Clara helped him to his room for a nap, noting how flushed his face had become. An hour later, Caleb woke screaming, his body covered in angry red hives. "It hurts!" he cried, scratching frantically at his arms and neck. Clara called for help. Henderson summoned the family doctor while Martha helped Clara apply cool compresses to Caleb's inflamed skin. Dr. Meredith arrived within 20 minutes, quickly diagnosing a severe allergic reaction. "Has he eaten anything unusual?" the doctor asked, administering an antihistamine injection. "Just normal meals," Clara said, remembering the cookies with a chill. "Although Beatrice gave him some cookies. I took them away, but he'd already eaten a few." Dr. Meredith frowned. "Caleb is severely allergic to pistachios. It's well documented in his medical file." Clara's blood ran cold. The cookies had a greenish tint. Pistachio cookies would do this. "Certainly," the doctor confirmed, checking Caleb's breathing. "He'll be all right now, but it could have been very serious if you hadn't called so quickly." Nathaniel burst into the room, his face ashen. "What happened?" Dr. Meredith explained the situation while Clara stood back, her mind racing. Had Beatrice deliberately given Caleb cookies that could harm him, or was it a terrible mistake? After the doctor left, Nathaniel sat beside his son's bed, stroking the sleeping boy's hair. Thank God you were with him, Mr. Hargrove, Clara said quietly. Caleb said Beatrice gave him those cookies specifically for him. They contained pistachios. Nathaniel's expression darkened. That's impossible. Beatrice knows about his allergy. She was there when he had his first reaction. I'm only telling you what Caleb told me. Nathaniel stared at his sleeping son, conflict evident on his face. I'll speak with her. Later, as Clara returned to her room to fetch a book for Caleb, she found her door slightly ajar. Inside, her belongings had been disturbed, drawers left open, clothes askew. On her bed lay her missing journal, open to an entry where she'd written about Nathaniel's DNA test and her own conflicted feelings. Across the page, written in red ink, liar. Clara's hands trembled as she closed the journal. Someone was trying to frighten her away. First the text messages, now this, and possibly using Caleb to do it. She jumped at a knock on her door. Henderson stood there, his expression grave. Miss Whitfield. Miss, Beatrice would like to see you in the library, immediately. Clara steeled herself. Of course. She found Beatrice alone in the library. Standing by the fireplace, the older woman's expression was glacial. I understand you've been making accusations, Beatrice said without preamble. I merely reported what Caleb told me. You suggested I deliberately poisoned my nephew. Beatrice's voice was dangerously soft. A serious allegation. I didn't... Let me be clear, Beatrice interrupted. You are a manipulative little fortune hunter who's trying to con my brother with a fake story and a cheap replica of a ring. Clara's temper flared. This ring is not a replica. I've had it since childhood. So you claim, just as you claim to have no memory of your past. Beatrice stepped closer. Stay away from my brother. Stop filling his head with false hope. You have no idea what damage you're doing. The DNA test can be faked. Or perhaps you are some distant relation trying to capitalize on a tragic resemblance. Beatrice's eyes narrowed. Accidents happen, Miss Whitfield, especially to people who don't know their place. The threat hung in the air between them. Clara refused to be intimidated. Are you threatening me, Ms. Hargrove? Beatrice smiled coldly. I'm advising you. This situation could become uncomfortable for everyone involved, particularly you. Before Clara could respond, Martha appeared at the door, her face tight with worry. Miss Clara, you're needed. Master Caleb is asking for you. Grateful for the interruption, Clara left, feeling Beatrice's eyes boring into her back. As she climbed the stairs, Clara realized she was at a crossroads. She could flee this house of secrets and threats, return to her simple life, or she could stay and discover the truth about the Hargroves, about the ring, about herself. Her hand moved to the turquoise stone, warm against her skin. Whatever game Beatrice was playing, Clara wouldn't be frightened away. Not until she knew the truth. Whether she was Clara Whitfield or Evelyn Hargrove, she deserved answers, and she would get them, no matter what. The grandfather clock in the hall struck midnight as Clara sat beside Caleb's bed, watching the steady rise and fall of his chest. The boy had finally fallen into a peaceful sleep after hours of discomfort from the allergic reaction. The antihistamines had worked, but they'd left him groggy and clingy, refusing to let Clara leave his side. She didn't mind. Being with Caleb kept her away from Beatrice and gave her time to think. Is he asleep? Nathaniel's voice came softly from the doorway. Clara nodded, carefully extracting her hand from Caleb's grip. She followed Nathaniel into the hallway, gently closing the door behind her. The doctor says he'll be fine by morning, she assured him. Children bounce back quickly. Thanks to you. Nathaniel's face was drawn with worry and something else, determination. Clara, we need to talk, privately. He led her to his study, where a thick manila envelope sat on his desk. Clara recognized it immediately, the package from the hospital Henderson had delivered. I confronted Beatrice about the cookies, Nathaniel said once the door was closed. She claims she bought them from a bakery downtown, not knowing they contained pistachios. And you believe her. Nathaniel ran a hand through his hair. I don't know what to believe anymore. He gestured to a chair. Please sit down. Clara perched on the edge of the leather armchair, her nerves humming. Nathaniel paced before the fireplace, where Evelyn's portrait seemed to watch them both. I received the official DNA results today, he finally said. I've been trying to find the right moment to discuss them with you. Clara's mouth went dry. And Nathaniel picked up the envelope, removing several pages of lab reports. The analysis confirms it beyond any reasonable doubt. 99,097% probability that you are my biological daughter. The world tilted beneath Clara, despite suspecting this was coming. Hearing the confirmation aloud made it real in a way that terrified her. That's not possible, she whispered. Science doesn't lie, Clara. Nathaniel knelt before her chair, his eyes filled with decades of pain. 20 years ago, my 7-year-old daughter disappeared at the Charleston market. I turned my back for 30 seconds to pay a vendor, and she vanished. We searched for months, years, but she was gone. He took a shaky breath. And now, impossibly, here you are, wearing her ring, with her mother's eyes, with DNA that matches mine. Clara stared at the lab report, the scientific jargon swimming before her eyes. But I don't remember any of it. I don't remember you or this house or being called Evelyn. My first memory is waking up in a hospital bed in Savannah. Memory loss from trauma isn't uncommon, Nathaniel said gently. Especially in children. You think I was, kidnapped? The word felt surreal on her tongue. I don't know. Nathaniel's voice hardened. But someone took you from me that day, and somehow you ended up alone on a road outside Savannah with no memory except a name that might not have been yours. Clara twisted the ring on her finger, the turquoise stone catching the lamplight. If what you're saying is true, why did no one claim me? My picture must have been everywhere. How could I have been in an orphanage for years without anyone recognizing me? Your caseworker told me they did circulate your photo, Nathaniel said. But you looked different. Thinner, your hair had been cut, and with no memory, he trailed off. The search for Evelyn focused on Charleston, not Savannah. By the time the hospital released you to state care, the initial media frenzy had died down. Clara stood abruptly, needing to move. This is insane. You're asking me to believe my entire life has been a lie, that I'm not Clara Whitfield, but Evelyn Hargrove, long-lost daughter of a shipping magnate. I'm asking you to consider the evidence, Nathaniel replied. The ring, the DNA, your missing memories, the age matches, even your appearance. The study door burst open. Beatrice stood in the doorway, her face flushed with anger. What are you doing, Nathaniel? She demanded, striding into the room. Her eyes landed on the DNA results in Clara's hands. You actually went through with that test, against my explicit advice. This doesn't concern you, Beatrice. Nathaniel's voice was dangerously quiet. Doesn't concern me. Beatrice laughed bitterly. You're being conned by an opportunistic orphan. And it doesn't concern me. This affects the entire family, the company, our reputation. The DNA test confirms it, Nathaniel insisted. She's Evelyn. DNA can be manipulated. Beatrice snapped. Results falsified. Did you personally collect the samples? Witness the testing, or did you just hand everything over to this girl's accomplices? That's enough. Nathaniel rarely raised his voice, but now it thundered through the study. You've gone too far, Beatrice. Clara had nothing to do with the testing process. I arranged everything myself through a reputable lab. Beatrice turned her fury on Clara. I don't know what game you're playing, but it won't work. Evelyn is dead. Everyone knows that. You're nothing but a vulture circling an old tragedy. Clara felt a surge of anger. I didn't ask for any of this. I came here for a job, not to claim some inheritance or stir up painful memories. If anyone's been manipulating the situation, it's been you, with your threats and sabotage. Threats. Nathaniel's head whipped toward his sister. What threats? Ask her about the pistachio cookies, Clara said, her voice shaking. Ask her about the text messages warning me to back off. Ask her why my journal was stolen and returned with liar written across my private thoughts. Beatrice's face went pale. She's making this up. She's trying to turn you against me, Nathaniel. Can't you see that? What I see, Nathaniel said slowly, is that you've been acting strangely ever since Clara arrived. Hostile, defensive, almost. Frightened. He studied his sister with new eyes. Why would you be frightened of Clara, Beatrice? Unless you know something about Evelyn's disappearance that you've never told me. The accusation hung in the air like a thundercloud. Beatrice's composure cracked for a moment. real fear flashing across her face before she masked it with indignation. "How dare you?" she hissed. "I mourned Evelyn too. I helped you search for her. I kept the company running while you fell apart." "Yes, you did," Nathaniel said thoughtfully. "You stepped in and took control of everything, something you'd been wanting for years." "This is absurd," Beatrice gathered herself, straightening her spine. "I'm not going to stand here and listen to these wild accusations. You need help, Nathaniel. Professional help, and you—" She jabbed a finger at Clara. "You'll regret the day you ever set foot in this house." She stormed out, slamming the door so hard that the portrait above the fireplace tilted slightly. In the ringing silence that followed, Clara sank back into the chair, her legs suddenly weak. "She hates me," she whispered. "She fears you," Nathaniel corrected, straightening the portrait. "The question is why?" Clara stared at the DNA results still clutched in her hands. Science didn't lie, but people did. For 20 years, someone had lied about what happened to Evelyn Hargrove. Had that someone been Beatrice? "What happens now?" she asked. Nathaniel's expression softened as he looked at her. No longer the nanny he'd hired, but the daughter he'd lost. "That depends on you, Evelyn." The name sent a jolt through Clara. It felt foreign, yet somewhere deep inside, something responded to it. A flicker of recognition, perhaps, or wishful thinking. "I need time," she said. "This is overwhelming." "Of course," Nathaniel nodded, visibly restraining himself from pushing further. "Take all the time you need, but please, be careful. Beatrice's reaction tonight troubles me deeply." As Clara left the study, she couldn't shake the feeling that a clock had started ticking. Beatrice wouldn't stand by and let this revelation go unchallenged, whatever had happened 20 years ago. Someone had gone to great lengths to ensure Evelyn Hargrove disappeared forever, and that someone might be willing to do anything to keep it that way. The following morning, Clara found Martha waiting for her outside her bedroom door, anxiety etched in the older woman's face. "Miss Clara, I need to speak with you privately." Clara ushered the housekeeper into her room, closing the door behind them. "What's wrong?" "I've worked for this family for 30 years, Martha began, her hands fidgeting with her apron. "I've kept their secrets, cleaned up their messes, but what Mrs. Beatrice is doing now?" She shook her head. "It ain't right." Clara felt a chill. "What has Beatrice done?" "It's what she's planning to do. I overheard her on the phone last night after your meeting with Mr. Hargrove. She's hired someone to investigate you, dig up dirt," she said. Martha lowered her voice. "She said she'd handle the situation one way or another." "Handle the situation," Clara repeated, her stomach knotting. Those were her words. Martha's eyes were grave. "I've suspected for years that Miss Beatrice knew more about Miss Evelyn's disappearance than she let on, the way she took over everything afterward. How quickly she convinced Mr. Hargrove to declare the child legally dead." Clara sat on the edge of her bed, processing. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I was there when Miss Evelyn was born. I held that child before her own daddy did." Martha's eyes glistened. "And the moment I saw you walk into this house with that ring, I knew Mr. Hargrove might need DNA tests to be sure. But a woman knows. You have your mother's eyes and your father's chin." She reached out, patting Clara's hand. "You're home, Miss Evelyn, and I won't stand by while Mrs. Beatrice tries to chase you away again." Before Clara could respond, a knock came at the door. Nathaniel stood in the hallway with a distinguished older gentleman. "Clara, this is Richard Donovan. He's a private investigator I've worked with for many years. I'd like him to look into a few things if you're agreeable." The investigator extended his hand. "Miss Whitfield, or should I say, Miss Hargrove?" "Clara is fine for now," she replied, shaking his hand. She glanced at Martha, who nodded encouragingly before slipping past them into the hallway. "I understand this is a delicate situation," Donovan said once they were seated in Nathaniel's study. "But the more information you can provide about your past, the better I can reconstruct what happened 20 years ago." Clara nodded. "I'll tell you everything I know, though it isn't much. My earliest clear memory is waking up in a hospital in Savannah. I was 7, maybe 8 years old. I had a concussion and some scrapes and bruises. A truck driver had found me walking along Highway 17 outside the city. "Did you know your name?" Donovan asked, taking notes. I told them I was Clara Whitfield. I don't remember anything before the hospital, but that name, It felt right somehow. She twisted the ring on her finger. This was the only possession I had. The nurses said I'd been clutching it when I was brought in. No identification, no clothing tags with names. Nothing useful. My clothes were generic. No labels or monograms. The doctors thought I might have been in a car accident because of the nature of my injuries. But no wrecks were reported in the area. Donovan frowned. And no one reported a missing child matching your description. Apparently not. I spent a few weeks in the hospital, then went into foster care, and eventually to Catherine's orphanage. What about the truck driver who found you? Nathaniel interjected. Did you ever speak with him? Clara shook her head. He left his contact information with the hospital, but I never met him. I have his name somewhere in my old records. I'd like to track him down, Donovan said. He might remember details that weren't recorded at the time. My documents from the orphanage are in my apartment in downtown Charleston. I could retrieve them today, Clara offered. I'll drive you, Nathaniel said quickly. Richard, can you start looking into the timeline around Evelyn's disappearance? Specifically, Beatrice's activities during that period? The investigator's eyebrows rose slightly, but he nodded. I'll be discreet. Later that morning, Clara sat in the passenger seat of Nathaniel's Audi as they drove toward her modest apartment building. The contrast between his luxury car and her working-class neighborhood couldn't have been starker. It's not much, she said apologetically as she unlocked the door to her one-bedroom apartment. But it's mine. Nathaniel's eyes swept the small space with its second-hand furniture and carefully tended plants. You've made it a home. Clara headed to a filing cabinet in the corner. My documents should be in here. She pulled out a folder labeled Set Catherine's and began sorting through papers. Here, this is the police report from when I was found. Nathaniel took it, his hands trembling slightly. May 18th, 2005. He read aloud. Just 3 days after Evelyn disappeared. His face paled. Highway 17. That's the main road between Charleston and Savannah. Clara found another document. Here's the medical report. And this has the truck driver's information. James Miller. As Nathaniel reviewed the documents, Clara's phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I know what you're doing. Stop now, or everyone gets hurt. She showed it to Nathaniel, who immediately called Donovan. Richard, we need to trace a series of threatening texts coming to Clara's phone. He relayed the number. And check on Caleb immediately. He's at home with Dr. Lewis. After hanging up, Nathaniel paced the small living room. We should get back. I don't like leaving Caleb with Beatrice in the house. As they gathered the documents, Clara paused at her bookshelf, removing a worn copy of Alice in Wonderland. This was the only personal item the orphanage gave me when I turned 18. They said it was in my backpack when I was found. She opened the cover to reveal childish handwriting on the flyleaf. To Evelyn, on your 7th birthday, follow the white rabbit. Love, Daddy. Nathaniel stared at the inscription, his expression stricken. I gave her that book, the day before she disappeared. He touched the writing reverently. That's my handwriting. The revelation hung between them. Undeniable proof beyond DNA or rings. Let's go, Clara said softly, tucking the book into her bag. They returned to find the mansion in a state of controlled chaos. Dr. Lewis met them at the door, his face drawn. Mr. Hargrove, there was an incident. Caleb is fine, he added quickly, seeing Nathaniel's panic. But someone tried to enter his room while I was tutoring him. Henderson confronted the person who fled. Where's Caleb now? Nathaniel demanded. In the safe room, as you instructed for emergencies. Martha is with him. Clara followed as Nathaniel rushed to the hidden room behind his study's bookcase. Caleb launched himself into his father's arms the moment the door opened. Daddy, someone tried to get in my room. Henderson chased them away. You're safe now, Nathaniel assured him, hugging him tightly. No one will hurt you. Where's Aunt Beatrice? Clara asked Martha. Gone, miss. Left about an hour ago in quite a hurry. Said she had business in town. Donovan arrived shortly after, bringing a laptop and digital recorder. I've made some preliminary discoveries, he announced once they had settled in the study. Caleb safely occupied with a movie in the adjacent room. Phone records from May 2005 show numerous calls between Beatrice and a burner phone purchased in Charleston. The calls stopped abruptly on May 15th, the day Evelyn disappeared. That doesn't prove anything, Clara pointed out. No, but this might. Donovan opened his laptop. I pulled Beatrice's financial records from that period, 3 days before the disappearance. She withdrew $50,000 from her personal account, cash. No record of what it was used for. Nathaniel's face darkened. And after Evelyn disappeared, she made a series of investments that significantly increased her stake in Hargrove Shipping. By the end of that year, she'd nearly doubled her control in the company, using my distraction to consolidate power, Nathaniel murmured. I was so grief-stricken I signed whatever she put in front of me. Clara stared at the financial records, a horrifying suspicion taking shape. Are you suggesting Beatrice might have arranged Evelyn's kidnapping? It's a theory worth investigating, Donovan said grimly. And considering today's incident with Caleb, I'd say time is of the essence. Nathaniel's phone rang. Henderson, reporting that Beatrice had returned to the mansion and was demanding to speak with him. We're about to get some answers, Nathaniel said, his voice like steel. One way or another, I want her out of this house. Beatrice's voice carried down the hallway as Clara, Nathaniel and Donovan approached the grand foyer. She's turning you against your own family, Nathaniel. Can't you see that? Beatrice stood rigidly by the main staircase, her designer handbag clutched like a shield. She faltered momentarily at the sight of Donovan. What is he doing here? She demanded. Are you investigating me? We're investigating what happened to my daughter, Nathaniel replied evenly. Something I should have done more thoroughly 20 years ago. This is insane, Beatrice spat. Evelyn is gone. She's been gone for 2 decades. And now this. This imposter waltzes in and you throw away everything, our relationship, the company's stability. Clara stepped forward. I didn't ask for any of this. I came here for a job. How convenient that you just happened to apply for a position in this household, Beatrice sneered. Wearing that replica ring. It's not a replica, Clara said quietly. And I think you know that. Nathaniel's voice cut through the tension. Beatrice, I need to understand what happened. The phone calls to a burner phone. The cash withdrawal days before Evelyn disappeared. Your push to have her declared legally dead when I still had hope. Something flickered behind Beatrice's eyes. Fear, perhaps, or calculation. You're accusing me of being involved in Evelyn's kidnapping, your own sister. I'm asking for the truth. The truth is that I love that child, Beatrice insisted, her voice breaking. I would never have harmed her. Then help us, Clara pleaded. If you know something, anything, about what happened that day, please tell us. I need to understand who I am. Beatrice's gaze turned icy. I know exactly who you are. A con artist, a manipulator. She turned to her brother. Nathaniel, this has gone far enough. I'm calling our lawyer. This woman is after the Hargrove fortune. Nothing more. The DNA match is conclusive, Donovan interjected. And we've found her copy of Alice in Wonderland with Mr. Hargrove's inscription. Beatrice paled visibly. That proves nothing. Such things can be fabricated. Why would I fabricate this? Clara asked, genuinely perplexed. I had a life, a job, an identity. I wasn't looking to become Evelyn Hargrove. Because being Evelyn Hargrove means access to millions, Beatrice snapped. It means trading a shabby apartment for this mansion. It means... That's enough, Nathaniel's voice thundered through the foyer. Beatrice, either you cooperate with our investigation, or I'll be forced to take more drastic measures. A tense silence fell. Finally, Beatrice straightened, smoothing her jacket. Fine, have your investigation, but keep her away from me. With that, she swept past them toward her office, the click of her heels echoing like gunshots. Later that afternoon, Clara sat in the garden, needing fresh air to clear her head. The events of the past few days felt like a surreal dream, or nightmare. She stared at the turquoise ring, wondering how a small piece of jewelry could upend her entire existence. May I join you? Nathaniel appeared on the stone path, carrying 2 glasses of iced tea. Clara nodded, accepting the drink gratefully. Donovan found James Miller, Nathaniel said, sitting beside her on the bench. The truck driver who found you on Highway 17. He's agreed to meet with us tomorrow. Do you really think he'll remember anything useful after all this time? We won't know until we ask. Nathaniel hesitated. Caleb has been asking for you. I think he senses something's happening. Even though I haven't told him anything yet. Clara smiled softly. He's an intuitive child. He's taken to you completely, much like... Nathaniel trailed off. Like Evelyn might have with a new nanny, Clara finished for him. No, like you did with Martha when you were his age. Nathaniel's eyes grew distant. She was the only one who could get you to eat vegetables. You'd turn up your nose if anyone else tried. The casual memory, so specific and ordinary, struck Clara more powerfully than any DNA test. This man knew the small details of a child's life. Her life, potentially. Tell me more, she found herself asking. About Evelyn. About my mother. Nathaniel's face softened. Elizabeth was the love of my life. She was brilliant. An art historian with a passion for Renaissance paintings. That's her influence in the house decor. He gestured to the garden. These roses were her pride and joy. She would spend hours out here, even when she was sick. Cancer, right? He nodded. Ovarian. By the time they caught it, it was too late. She fought hard. Lived to see Caleb's 3rd birthday, but losing Evelyn. That broke something in her that never healed. And Evelyn, what was she like? A smile touched Nathaniel's lips. Stubborn, incredibly so. Creative, always making up stories or songs. She loved to climb trees. Drove her mother crazy with the scrapes and torn dresses. His eyes met Clara's. She had a birthmark, a small crescent moon shape behind her right ear. Clara's hand instinctively went to her right ear, where her hair covered the skin. I have a birthmark there. I know. I noticed it the day you arrived, when the wind blew your hair back. Another piece of the puzzle. A comfortable silence fell between them, filled with the weight of possibility. I've been having dreams, Clara admitted suddenly. Since I came here, more vivid than usual. A crowded market. A woman's voice calling. A man with a scar on his hand. Nathaniel straightened. A scar. What kind of scar? Like a star, on the back of his right hand. Nathaniel's face drained of color. The man who took my daughter had a star-shaped scar on his hand. A witness at the market remembered it. It was in the police report. Clara's pulse quickened. I couldn't have known that. No, you couldn't. Nathaniel took her hand. Your memories are coming back, Clara. Fragments, but they're there. A movement near the rose bushes caught Clara's attention. Martha stood there, clutching a small wooden box. I'm sorry to interrupt, the housekeeper said, approaching cautiously. But with all that's happening, I thought you should have this. She handed the box to Clara. Inside lay a small silver locket on a delicate chain. I found it the day after Miss Evelyn disappeared, Martha explained. It must have fallen off during her morning routine. I meant to give it to her when she came home, but her voice faltered. I couldn't bear to give it to Mr. Hargrove afterward. It seemed too cruel. Clara lifted the locket with trembling fingers. It was tarnished from years of storage, but still beautiful. She clicked it open to reveal a tiny family photo on one side. Nathaniel, Elizabeth, and a grinning Evelyn, and a lock of dark hair on the other. My mother's hair, she whispered, not knowing how she knew, but certain nonetheless. The moment her fingers touched the locket, something shifted in Clara's mind. A cascade of images flooded her consciousness. A birthday party with a princess cake, riding on Nathaniel's shoulders through the garden, Elizabeth teaching her to arrange roses in a crystal vase, and then darker memories, the crowded market, a hand covering her mouth, the smell of cigarettes and cheap cologne, a van with dark windows, pain as her head struck something hard during a swerve on the highway. Clara gasped, dropping the locket as if it burned. She pressed her palms against her temples, overwhelmed by the onslaught. Clara, Nathaniel's voice seemed distant. What's wrong? I remember, she choked out. Not everything, but pieces. The market, a man with the star scar. He told me my mother was hurt and you'd sent him to get me. She looked up, tears streaming down her face. I went with him because he knew my name. He knew I was Evelyn Hargrove. Nathaniel gathered her in his arms as she shook with the force of recovered trauma. There was an accident, Clara continued, her voice muffled against his shoulder. The van swerved to avoid something. I hit my head. When I woke up, I was alone on the roadside. He was gone. Martha knelt beside them, retrieving the fallen locket. You poor child. I started walking, Clara said, the memories continuing to surface. I don't know for how long. A truck stopped. The driver, Miller, he found me and took me to the hospital. Nathaniel held her tighter. It's okay. You're safe now. Clara pulled back, her eyes suddenly sharp with realization. The kidnapper knew who I was. Nathaniel, he knew my name, knew you were my father. This wasn't random. Someone sent him specifically for me. The implication hung in the air between them, unspoken but unmistakable. As if summoned by the accusation, Beatrice appeared at the garden entrance, her face a mask of careful neutrality that cracked when she saw the locket in Martha's hand. Where did you get that? She demanded, her voice unnaturally high, and in that moment, looking into her aunt's eyes, Clara knew this woman had orchestrated the destruction of her childhood. This woman had stolen 20 years of her life. This woman was responsible for everything. I asked you a question. Beatrice's voice cut through the garden air like a knife. Where did you get that locket? Martha stood protectively near Clara, the silver locket gleaming in her palm. I found it, Miss Beatrice, the day after Miss Evelyn disappeared. And you kept it all these years. Beatrice's eyes narrowed to slits. Without telling anyone. I kept it safe, Martha replied evenly, waiting for the right time, for Miss Evelyn to come home. Nathaniel rose slowly to his feet, positioning himself between his sister and Clara. How did you know it was a locket, Beatrice? Martha didn't say what it was. A flicker of panic crossed Beatrice's face before she composed herself. Don't be ridiculous. I could see it from here. No, Nathaniel said quietly. You couldn't. Not clearly enough to identify it specifically as the locket I gave Evelyn for her 5th birthday. The locket that wasn't mentioned in any of the police reports because she wasn't wearing it the day she disappeared. Beatrice's hand tightened on her handbag. I remember the locket. I was there when you gave it to her. But how did you know Martha had found it? Clara asked, rising to stand beside Nathaniel. Unless you knew Evelyn wasn't wearing it that day at the market. Unless you had planned everything down to the last detail. A tense silence fell over the garden. Even the birds seemed to hold their songs. You don't know what you're talking about, Beatrice finally said, her voice dangerously soft. You're manipulating my brother with these false memories and planted evidence. No more lies. Nathaniel's voice was steel wrapped in velvet. Donovan found the money trail. Beatrice, $50,000 withdrawn days before Evelyn disappeared. Phone calls to a burner phone that stopped the day she vanished. Your aggressive push to declare her legally dead when I still had hope. Business decisions, Beatrice countered. The company was floundering while you were consumed with the search. Someone had to take control. That's what this was about, wasn't it? Nathaniel took a step toward her. Control. Power. You always resented that father left me the majority stake despite your business degree. You were just waiting for an opportunity. Beatrice laughed bitterly. You have no idea what you're talking about. You were the golden child Nathaniel, the son, the heir, while I, despite having twice your business acumen, was relegated to being your assistant. So you arranged to have my daughter kidnapped. The pain in Nathaniel's voice was raw. Your own niece. I never meant for her to be harmed, Beatrice snapped, then froze, realizing what she'd admitted. The garden fell silent again, the confession hanging in the air between them. Oh my God, Nathaniel whispered. It's true. Beatrice straightened, a cold calculation replacing her momentary loss of composure. You can't prove anything. There's no evidence that would hold up in court. Just circumstantial connections and the word of a girl who admits she has no memory of what actually happened. I remember more than you think, Clara said, stepping forward. I remember the man with the star-shaped scar. I remember him saying my mother was hurt, and that my father, Nathaniel, had sent him to get me. Details you could have learned from police reports, Beatrice dismissed. The police reports never mentioned the scar, Nathaniel said. We kept that detail private to screen out false confessions. Beatrice's face paled slightly, but she maintained her composure. This is absurd. I'm not going to stand here and be accused by an imposter and a brother who's clearly lost his grip on reality. She turned to leave. I'm calling our lawyer. This ends now. Wait, Clara called. A fragment of memory had surfaced. A detail so small it seemed insignificant, yet somehow felt important. The man with the scar. He had a nickname. You called him Stitch. Beatrice froze mid-step. Her back to them. That wasn't in any report, Nathaniel said softly. There's no way Clara could know that name unless she heard it firsthand. Slowly, Beatrice turned. The mask of composure had cracked, revealing a glimpse of the desperation beneath. You were never supposed to be hurt, she said, addressing Clara directly for the first time. He was supposed to keep you comfortable for a few weeks, then find you unharmed. Nathaniel would be so grateful to have you back that he'd stop questioning my business decisions. But there was an accident, Clara filled in. The van crashed, and I was thrown from the vehicle. Stitch panicked and ran, leaving me on the side of the road with a head injury. Beatrice nodded almost imperceptibly. By the time I learned what had happened, you were already in the hospital in Savannah. With amnesia, it was an unexpected complication. A complication? Nathaniel's voice shook with fury. She was a child, my child. Your niece. And you were going to name her as your successor, Beatrice shouted, her composure finally shattering. A 7-year-old girl, while I, who had worked alongside you for years, was passed over again. Evelyn will inherit my controlling shares when she's of age, you told the board. Just like that, my future was decided. So, you decided to eliminate the competition, Nathaniel said, his voice hollow with disbelief. Your own flesh and blood. I didn't want to eliminate her, Beatrice insisted. Just remove her temporarily, create a crisis that would distract you, make you dependent on me. By the time she returned, you would have seen my value. Adjusted the succession plan. But she never returned, Martha said softly. Beatrice's eyes hardened. When I learned about the amnesia, I saw an opportunity, a clean slate. She could have a different life, away from the burden of being a Hargrove. You had no right to make that decision. Nathaniel's voice was barely above a whisper. I made the only sensible choice, Beatrice replied. The company was on the verge of collapse after Elizabeth's medical bills and your obsessive search. Someone had to take control. So you let me believe my daughter was dead, Nathaniel said. Let Elizabeth die, still grieving for our child, when all along you knew Evelyn was alive somewhere. I protected the Hargrove legacy, Beatrice insisted. Everything I did was for the family. No, Clara stepped forward, the weight of 20 lost years behind her words. Everything you did was for yourself. You stole my childhood, my identity, my family. A soft voice from the garden entrance made them all turn. Aunt Beatrice, what did you do to Evie? Caleb stood there, his small face pale with confusion, Henderson hovering protectively behind him. Caleb. Nathaniel moved toward his son. You should be inside. Is Miss Clara really Evie? The boy asked, his eyes wide. Is she my sister? Before Nathaniel could answer, Beatrice made a sudden move toward her handbag. Henderson reacted instantly, seizing her arm. Ms. Hargrove, I must ask you not to reach for anything in your bag, the butler said firmly. Take your hands off me, Beatrice hissed, struggling against his grip. I've done nothing wrong. Planning to kidnap a child is wrong, Henderson replied, his normally impassive face tight with anger. I've already called the police, ma'am. They're on their way. As if on cue, the distant wail of sirens floated through the garden. Beatrice ceased her struggle, a cold smile forming on her lips. You have no proof that would stand up in court. None. It's the word of an amnesiac against a respected businesswoman. Actually, came Donovan's voice as he stepped from the shadows of the veranda, we have quite a bit more than that. He held up his phone. Including your confession, which I've been recording for the past 10 minutes. The color drained from Beatrice's face. And, Donovan continued, I located your man Stitch, real name Marcus Leary, this afternoon. He's been living in Baton Rouge under a new identity. When presented with evidence linking him to Evelyn's kidnapping, he proved quite cooperative, especially when I mentioned potential leniency in exchange for testimony against the person who hired him. Beatrice's composure finally shattered completely. You can't do this. You need me. The company needs me. She turned to Nathaniel, desperation in her eyes. We're family. Family doesn't do what you did, Nathaniel replied quietly. You're right about one thing, though. I can't prove you intended Evelyn to be harmed, but conspiracy to commit kidnapping, that I can prove. As the sirens grew louder, Caleb slipped his small hand into Clara's. "Are you really my sister?" he asked again. Clara knelt to his level, seeing in his innocent face echoes of the family she'd been stolen from. "Yes," she said softly. "I think I am." The boy's face broke into a wide smile. "I always wanted a big sister." As police officers entered the garden, Beatrice stood rigidly, her face a mask of defiance. Even as Henderson handed her over to their custody, the officers recited her rights, placed her in handcuffs, and began to lead her away. "This isn't over," Beatrice called over her shoulder. "Nothing is ever as simple as it seems." As they watched her being escorted to the waiting police car, Clara felt a strange mixture of emotions: vindication, sorrow, and an odd sense of incompleteness. "She's right about one thing," she said quietly to Nathaniel. "This doesn't feel over." Nathaniel nodded grimly. "Because it isn't. Beatrice never does anything without a contingency plan, and I can't shake the feeling that we're still missing something important." The grand salon of the Hargrove mansion had never hosted such an unusual gathering. Executives from Hargrove Shipping, family lawyers, board members, and close associates filled the elegant room, their confused murmurs creating a nervous undercurrent. At the front of the room, Nathaniel stood with Clara and Donovan, reviewing last-minute details while they waited for the final attendees to arrive. "Are you sure about this?" Clara asked, fidgeting with the turquoise ring. She'd dressed carefully for the occasion in a simple navy dress that Martha had helped her select from Elizabeth Hargrove's preserved wardrobe. "Having everyone here at once seems risky. We need witnesses," Nathaniel replied. "People Beatrice can't intimidate or buy off. The board needs to understand exactly what happened and why changes are coming." "The police have been notified about our gathering," Donovan added. "They're stationed outside just in case, and Marcus Leary, Stitch, is in a holding room down the hall with 2 officers. Clara nodded, trying to calm her nerves. 3 days had passed since Beatrice's arrest. Days filled with intense investigation, recovered memories, and emotional reunions. James Miller, the truck driver who had found her 20 years ago, had verified her account of being disoriented and injured by the roadside. Police had located Marcus Leary, who had confessed to the kidnapping in exchange for reduced charges, yet something still felt unresolved. Beatrice's parting words echoed in Clara's mind. "Nothing is ever as simple as it seems." "It's time," Nathaniel said, as the last board member took a seat. He stepped forward to address the gathered crowd, his voice steady despite the extraordinary circumstances. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice. I've asked you here because Hargrove Shipping stands at a crossroads. For 20 years, this company has been built on a foundation of lies and betrayal. Today, that changes." A murmur ran through the audience as Nathaniel introduced Clara and explained the DNA results confirming her identity as Evelyn Hargrove. Several older board members who had known Evelyn as a child gasped at the revelation. "As you've likely heard, my sister Beatrice has been arrested for her role in Evelyn's kidnapping 20 years ago," Nathaniel continued. "What you may not know is the extent of her deception and financial manipulation in the years that followed." Donovan stepped forward, presenting financial documents that demonstrated how Beatrice had exploited Nathaniel's grief to gain control of company assets, bank transfers, falsified documents, board minutes with omitted information. The evidence mounted into a damning case. In the aftermath of Evelyn's disappearance, "I was not myself," Nathaniel admitted. "I trusted Beatrice to handle the business while I searched for my daughter. She used that trust to consolidate her power and manipulate company resources for personal gain." Clara watched the faces of the board members shift from shock to outrage as the full picture emerged. These were people who had worked with Beatrice for years, trusted her business acumen, never suspecting the ruthlessness beneath her professional exterior. "Mr. Donovan has prepared detailed reports for each of you," Nathaniel said, nodding to assistants who distributed thick folders. "But before we proceed, there's someone you should hear from directly." At Nathaniel's signal, the double doors opened, and 2 police officers escorted Marcus Leary into the room. The man was in his 50s now, his once muscular frame gone soft with age, but the star-shaped scar on the back of his right hand was unmistakable. Clara felt her heart race at the sight of him, fragmented memories of his rough hands and cigarette-tinged breath flooding back. "This is Marcus Leary," Nathaniel announced. The man Beatrice hired to kidnap my 7-year-old daughter. Leary shifted uncomfortably under the weight of dozens of accusing stares. I've already given my statement to the police, he said, his voice gravelly from years of smoking. Miss Hargrove contacted me through a mutual acquaintance. Said she needed someone to handle a family situation. She offered $50,000 to take the girl and keep her somewhere safe for a few weeks. And you agreed, Clara said. Speaking for the first time, Leary's eyes darted to her face, recognition dawning. I didn't know she was planning to fake your death, he said defensively. The plan was to return you unharmed, make it look like a miracle rescue, with Mrs. Hargrove as the hero. But there was an accident, Nathaniel prompted. Leary nodded. On Highway 17, a deer ran across the road. I swerved and lost control. The girl, he glanced at Clara. She hit her head on the window when she didn't wake up right away. I panicked. I called Ms. Hargrove, told her what happened. And what did my sister say? Nathaniel asked, though he already knew the answer from previous interviews. She said to leave the girl by the roadside, that it was better this way, that a child with amnesia couldn't contradict whatever story she decided to tell. Leary's shoulders slumped with decades-old guilt. I left her there. I've regretted it every day since. A shocked silence fell over the room. One elderly board member, who had bounced Evelyn on his knee as a child, wiped away tears. Thank you, Mr. Leary, Nathaniel said coldly. The officers will take you back now. As Leary was escorted out, the salon doors burst open again. Beatrice stood in the doorway, flanked by her high-priced attorney and a court officer. Released on bail, she announced, scanning the room with narrowed eyes. Just in time for your little show trial, I see. This is a private meeting, Nathaniel said, his voice tight. Of a company where I still hold significant shares. Beatrice strode forward, her confidence seemingly undiminished by her recent arrest. You can't exclude me from decisions that affect my financial interests. Your shares will be frozen pending the criminal investigation, Nathaniel replied. The board has been fully briefed on the situation, Beatrice smiled coldly. Has it? Have you told them everything, brother? Or just the parts that paint you as the innocent victim? We know what you did, Clara said, stepping forward to stand beside Nathaniel. We have the evidence, the witnesses, your own confession. What I did, Beatrice laughed, a brittle sound that echoed through the salon. Oh, my dear, you have no idea what truly happened 20 years ago. She turned to address the board. My brother has presented a very touching narrative. The grieving father, the lost daughter miraculously returned, but he's omitted some crucial details. That's enough, Beatrice, Nathaniel warned. No, I don't think it is. Beatrice reached into her designer handbag, retrieving a sealed envelope. The company was in crisis in 2005. Elizabeth's medical bills had drained the operational reserves. Our largest contract was about to be lost to competitors, and my brother, she fixed Nathaniel with an icy stare, was making irrational decisions that threatened everything our father had built. She handed the envelope to the head of the board. This is a copy of a board resolution from April 2005, 1 month before Evelyn's disappearance, a resolution initiated by Nathaniel to liquidate company assets to fund an experimental cancer treatment for his wife, a treatment with less than 5% chance of success. Murmurs rippled through the room as the document was examined. I was trying to save my wife, Nathaniel said, his voice strained. You were going to bankrupt the company, Beatrice countered. 300 employees would have lost their livelihoods. Our family legacy would have ended. I did what was necessary to protect Hargrove Shipping. By kidnapping a child, Clara asked incredulously. Beatrice's gaze shifted to her. By creating a distraction. By giving my brother something else to focus on while I salvaged what remained of the company. It wasn't personal. It was my life. Clara's voice rose with emotion. 20 years of not knowing who I was, or where I belonged. How can you stand there and say it wasn't personal? For a moment, something like regret flickered across Beatrice's face. There were unforeseen complications. The accident wasn't part of the plan. Your amnesia was unfortunate. Unfortunate. Nathaniel's voice shook with fury. You stole my daughter. You let me believe she was dead. You let her mother die still grieving for our child. I saved this company, Beatrice replied, her momentary vulnerability replaced by cold certainty. While you were lost in grief, I rebuilt what your reckless decisions nearly destroyed. Every person in this room has benefited from my leadership. The salon had fallen silent, the board members watching the family drama unfold with a mixture of horror and fascination. In the tense silence, a small voice piped up from the doorway. "You hurt my sister." All heads turned to see Caleb standing there, his small face set in an expression of childish indignation. Martha stood behind him, having clearly failed to keep him away from the confrontation. "You were supposed to protect her," the boy continued, walking into the room with the fearlessness of the innocent. "That's what family does." Beatrice's composure faltered at the simple accusation. "Caleb, you don't understand. Adult matters are complicated." "No, they're not," he interrupted with a child's certainty. "You did a bad thing, and now you have to say sorry and make it right." In the face of this unassailable 6-year-old logic, Beatrice seemed to deflate slightly. She looked from Caleb to Clara to Nathaniel, then surveyed the room full of witnesses, all waiting for her response. "It's too late for sorry," she finally said, her voice barely audible. "Some things can't be undone." "No," Clara agreed, moving to stand protectively beside Caleb. "They can't, but they can be acknowledged. They can be atoned for." As police officers appeared in the doorway, summoned by Donovan's discreet signal, Beatrice straightened her shoulders one last time. "This isn't over," she said, addressing Nathaniel directly. "The board still needs leadership. The company still needs direction. Without me, without you," Nathaniel interrupted, "Hargrove Shipping will finally have a chance to heal from the poison you've spread just like this family," as the officers escorted Beatrice from the salon. The finality of the moment settled over the room. 20 years of lies, manipulation, and hidden agendas laid bare at last. Yet as Clara watched Beatrice's retreating figure, she couldn't shake the feeling that something remained unresolved, that Beatrice's final warning wasn't empty defiance, but a genuine threat still to be revealed. 6 months had passed since the day Beatrice Hargrove was led away from the family mansion in handcuffs. 6 months of healing, adjusting, and rebuilding what had been broken 20 years ago. Clara, who now sometimes answered to Evelyn, though she kept Clara as her first name, stood at the window of her office at Hargrove Shipping headquarters, watching the Charleston harbor where cargo ships bearing the company's emblem glided across the water. The morning sunlight caught on the turquoise stone of her ring as she absently twisted it around her finger, a habit she'd never outgrown. A soft knock at the door interrupted her thoughts. "Ms. Hargrove, your 10 o'clock is here." Even after half a year, the name still gave her pause. Legally, she was Clara Evelyn Hargrove now, a compromise that honored both her past and the 20 years she'd lived as someone else. "Thank you, Jennifer. Send them in." The newly hired director of international operations entered, carrying a portfolio of expansion proposals for Clara to review. Since taking on her role as vice president of community relations, Clara had brought a fresh perspective to the company, emphasizing ethical business practices and community investment. Her background in social work, once seemingly irrelevant to the shipping empire, had proven invaluable in reshaping the company's image. After the meeting concluded, Clara checked her watch. She had just enough time to review the quarterly reports before meeting Nathaniel and Caleb for lunch. As she sorted through the documents, her phone buzzed with a text from Nathaniel. "Bringing extra guest for lunch, don't worry. It's a good surprise." Clara smiled. The relationship with her father had evolved gradually over the months. There had been awkward moments, certainly, times when Nathaniel's expectations of reconnecting with his 7-year-old daughter collided with the reality of the independent 27-year-old woman Clara had become. But they'd found their rhythm, building a new relationship rather than trying to recapture what was lost. Caleb had been the easiest adjustment. The boy had accepted her instantly as his big sister, delighted to have a sibling after years as an only child. His uncomplicated love had been a balm during the difficult transition. At precisely noon, Clara gathered her things and headed to the elevator. The company headquarters had changed subtly since Beatrice's departure. The cold, sterile atmosphere had softened. People smiled more, spoke more freely. The shadow of Beatrice's intimidating leadership had finally lifted. Outside the building, Clara found Nathaniel waiting with Caleb and a familiar face. Richard Donovan. "Richard, I didn't know you were in town." Clara greeted the investigator warmly, Just got in this morning, Donovan replied. Thought I'd deliver this news in person. He held up a manila envelope. Let's discuss over lunch. They settled at a waterfront restaurant, ordering quickly before Donovan shared his findings. Beatrice's trial is set for next month, he began. The prosecution has a solid case with Leary's testimony and the financial records. But something's been bothering me about this whole situation. What do you mean? Nathaniel asked. Beatrice's final warning, that it wasn't over. I couldn't shake the feeling she had another card to play. Donovan opened the envelope, sliding several documents across the table. So I kept digging into her finances and communications from the days leading up to Evelyn's kidnapping. And I found something interesting. Clara studied the bank statements. These are transfers to an offshore account, different from the one she used to pay Leary. Exactly, and significantly larger sums, paid to someone identified only as Consultant B. I traced the account to a shell company in the Cayman Islands, which led me to this. He produced a photograph of a middle-aged man in an expensive suit, Byron Whitfield, financial advisor with ties to several criminal organizations, specialized in creative accounting and corporate espionage. Clara froze at the surname. Whitfield, like the name you had after your abduction, Donovan confirmed. I don't think that's coincidental. You think this man was involved in my kidnapping? Not directly, but I believe he was Beatrice's insurance policy, and I think he may be the source of your assumed identity. Nathaniel leaned forward. Explain. Based on my investigation, Beatrice hired Whitfield to create a contingency plan in case her scheme with Leary went sideways. When Evelyn was injured and developed amnesia, Beatrice contacted Whitfield. I believe he's the one who arranged for the falsified background that established Clara Whitfield as an identity, giving you his own surname. Perhaps as a sick joke or a signature. But why? Clara asked. If Beatrice wanted me gone, why create a new identity for me at all? Because dead children create investigations that never truly close, Donovan explained. A living orphan with amnesia is a closed case, and Beatrice needed closure to consolidate her power. Where is this Whitfield now? Nathaniel's voice had hardened. That's the concerning part, Donovan admitted. He visited Beatrice in jail 3 times last month, and according to my sources, he's been liquidating assets and preparing to leave the country. You think he's planning something on Beatrice's behalf? Clara surmised. I think Beatrice always has a backup plan, Donovan replied. And I think we need to be prepared for whatever she set in motion. Later that afternoon, Clara found herself driving to the Charleston Women's Correctional Facility. Despite Nathaniel's concerns, she felt compelled to confront Beatrice directly. Some questions could only be answered face to face. The visiting room was stark and institutional. Beatrice entered wearing a beige prison uniform that somehow still managed to look tailored on her slim frame. 6 months of incarceration had dulled her polished appearance, but not the calculating intelligence in her eyes. Well, Beatrice said, taking her seat across the table. This is unexpected. I have questions, Clara replied simply. I'm sure you do. Beatrice folded her hands neatly. But why should I answer them? Because you owe me 20 years of truth. Something flickered behind Beatrice's eyes. Not quite remorse, but perhaps recognition. What do you want to know? Byron Whitfield. Who is he to you? If Beatrice was surprised by the question, she didn't show it. An associate. A necessary resource. He gave me his name. Why? Insurance, Beatrice admitted. After the accident, when you developed amnesia, I needed to ensure you wouldn't be connected back to us. Byron created your new identity, placed you in the system as an orphan. The Whitfield surname was his idea, his way of keeping track of you over the years. He's been monitoring me, periodically, making sure you stayed Clara Whitfield and didn't remember being Evelyn Hargrove. Beatrice's lips curved in a mirthless smile. Until you applied for a job at the mansion wearing that damn ring. You've been meeting with him, Clara pressed. Planning something? Planning my defense, Beatrice replied smoothly. He has information that could help my case. Clara didn't believe her for a second. Whatever you're plotting, it won't work. The truth is out now. Is it? Beatrice leaned forward slightly. You've recovered some memories, heard some testimony, seen some evidence, but you still don't know everything, Clara. Or should I call you Evelyn? Don't play games. If there's something else I should know, tell me now. Beatrice studied her for a long moment. You have her eyes, you know, Elizabeth's, that same stubborn determination. She would be proud of the woman you've become, even if it wasn't the life she imagined for you. The unexpected sentiment caught Clara off guard. I'm not here to discuss my mother. No. Pity. She's the one piece of this puzzle you're still missing. Beatrice sat back. Our time's up, guard, she called. Wait. What about my mother? What are you saying? Beatrice stood as a guard approached. Ask Nathaniel about the experimental treatment he wanted for Elizabeth. Ask him why I fought so hard against it. Ask him what the real cost would have been. She turned to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, I never intended for you to be hurt. Sometimes plans go awry, despite our best intentions. As Beatrice was led away, Clara sat motionless, trying to process the cryptic warning. Whatever game Beatrice was playing, Clara refused to be a pawn any longer. The golden light of sunset bathed the Hargrove mansion gardens as Clara, Nathaniel, and Caleb walked among Elizabeth's roses. Clara had shared Beatrice's strange comments with her father, who had dismissed them as manipulative tactics meant to sow discord. Perhaps he was right, or perhaps there were still truths to be uncovered. But as Caleb ran ahead, laughing in the fading light, Clara made a decision. The past, with all its mysteries and pain, would no longer dictate her future. She was Clara Evelyn Hargrove now, not defined by what was stolen from her, but by what she chose to build. A relationship with her father, a bond with her brother, a role in the family business that reflected her own values, not Beatrice's machinations. Penny for your thoughts, Nathaniel asked, joining her by the rose trellis. Clara smiled, turning the turquoise ring that had started this extraordinary journey. I was just thinking that home isn't always where we begin. Sometimes it's where we finally arrive. As the Charleston sun sank below the horizon, casting long shadows across the garden where she had once played as a child, Clara felt a sense of completion. Not everything had been resolved. Perhaps some things never would be. Byron Whitfield remained a loose end. Beatrice's cryptic comments lingered. The upcoming trial would surely bring more revelations. But for now, in this moment, watching Caleb chase fireflies across the lawn, Clara was exactly where she belonged. At the end of one story and the beginning of another, the lost daughter had found her way home, not to reclaim a stolen childhood, but to create a future built on truth rather than lies. And that, she decided as she linked arms with her father, was enough.